Family members speaking out after their loved one was found dead outside an apartment complex in Fort Lauderdale.
And police announcing this afternoon a man has been arrested in connection with the killing. A Local 10's Rush Lowe live now at Fort Lauderdale with the exclusive. Rush.
Okay, let me set this up. We're in this beauty salon. This is the salon owned by the victim's mom. I want to show you something here. The family has just gotten video from inside of where police say Daneshia was shot to death. And you see a lot of blood there, right?
Yes. Wherever you see the blue is how he drug her through the apartment on the floor. We have 3 videos actually.
So this was
each area in the apartment.
This was a very bloody scene.
She put up a fight.
When you walk into the beauty salon that Tamikia Connor owns just blocks away from where her daughter was murdered, the pain is overwhelming.
That's devastating.
He confessed to the murder before police even knew there was a victim. That is where this story starts. Not at the crime scene, not with the arrest, but with a confession made in the dark to someone who was never supposed to tell anyone. On the morning of February 19th, 2026, Fort Lauderdale police responded to a call on Northwest 2nd Street. What officers found near a dumpster stopped them cold. A woman, naked, covered with cardboard, left there like she was something to be thrown away. No identity, no suspect, no motive, just a body in a crime scene inside a vacant apartment nearby that told a story nobody was supposed to find. By the time investigators began processing that scene, the man responsible had already spoken, already confessed, and was still walking the same streets less than a mile away as if the cardboard and the dumpster were enough to bury what he had done. What came next? The confession that surfaced before sunrise, the chase, the weapon thrown into bushes, the DNA, and a legal conflict so unusual it has never been examined publicly is the full story of what happened to Daneshia Heller. And none of it is what the man who killed her expected anyone to ever know. A confession before the body had a name. A killer still in the area. A crime scene that told every story he tried to bury. You are watching Crime Spectre. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. Daneshia Heller was born on August 15, 1995 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. She was 30 years old at the time of her death. Everyone who loved her called her Nene. She was a mother of 3 young daughters. Her father David Heller described her as strong, good-hearted, loving and kind a woman who was simply trying to make her way through life. He said before every conversation ended she would say "I love you" before leaving. Her mother Tamikia Connor owns a beauty salon in Fort Lauderdale just blocks from where her daughter's body would later be found. That salon became a place of mourning the week Daneshia died. Her Aunt Latoya Snell said simply, she was a human and she was treated like an animal. The family confirmed Daneshia fought for her life in her final moments. The physical evidence inside the apartment where she was killed confirmed it too. Blood spread across 3 separate areas of the floor, markers placed by investigators showing exactly where her body had been moved through that space after the shooting. She did not give up. And the people who loved her are not giving up either.
Baby, we love you, and even though you're not here with us in body, you are always going to be with us in spirit. I love you so much. She's going to fight for herself.
I want to show you the faces here of this family. This is Mom. And Mom, thank you for talking to us. And this is Dad. And
Altavious Powell was 34 years old and from Miami Gardens, Florida. He was a convicted felon, a detail that would become central to how the case against him was built. His relationship to Daneshia Heller, whether they knew each other, how they ended up in that apartment together has not been officially confirmed. Investigators stated they were still combing through cell phone data and text messages to establish the connection. Daneshia's family said they had never seen him before. They could not connect him to their daughter's life in any way that made sense to them. What Powell allegedly did after killing Daneshia tells its own story about who he is. He did not panic and run immediately. He dragged her body through multiple rooms of that apartment. He removed her clothing. He carried her outside. He covered her with cardboard next to a dumpster on the 1500 block of Northwest 2nd Street steps from Norfolk Elementary School and walked away. Every one of those actions required a decision. Every one of them took time. This was not a moment of chaos. This was a man methodically disposing of a woman he had just executed. Then he went and told his child's mother he had killed 2 women. On the morning of February 18, 2026, Daneshia Heller was shot inside a vacant apartment near Northwest 15th Avenue in Fort Lauderdale. Her mother, Tamika Connor, described it as execution-style, a shot to the head, deliberate and close. The family later obtained video footage from inside the apartment showing 3 separate angles of the crime scene. Blood across multiple areas of the floor. Blue markers placed by investigators showing where her body had been dragged from room to room after the shooting. The footage confirmed what the family already believed: Daneshia did not go quietly. She fought. After the shooting, Powell removed her clothing, carried her body outside and covered her with cardboard next to a dumpster at the 1500 block of Northwest 2nd Street near Norfolk Elementary School. He left her there and walked away. Before 7:30 the following morning, February 19th, officers responded to the location. They found Daneshia's body naked, covered with cardboard, left near a dumpster. The scene was immediately classified as a homicide. At that point, no suspect named, no identity confirmed, no arrest made. What investigators did not yet know was that the man who had done this had already told someone. At 6:30 in the morning, hours after Daneshia's body was found and before police had publicly named any suspect, Fort Lauderdale police received an anonymous phone call. The caller reported that someone had just confessed to a homicide. According to the arrest warrant, Powell had told his child's mother that he had killed 2 women. Fort Lauderdale detectives from the Gun Intelligence Unit were already working the area when they spotted Powell less than a mile from the crime scene getting into a car. When they approached him, he ran. As he fled, he threw a firearm into nearby bushes, a weapon he was not legally permitted to carry as a convicted felon. He was caught. He gave officers a false name. He was arrested on the spot, initially booked on charges unrelated to Daneshia's murder, possession of a weapon by a convicted felon, carrying a concealed firearm, resisting an officer, and giving false identification to law enforcement. While Powell sat in a cell on those charges, detectives kept working. They cross-referenced the anonymous tip, examined the physical evidence from the apartment, and submitted DNA from the crime scene for analysis. The results came back and placed Altavious Powell directly inside the apartment where Daneshia Heller had been killed and dragged across the floor. That was not circumstantial. That was the case. Powell was subsequently charged with first-degree murder with a firearm in the death of Daneshia Heller. He was held without bond. Fort Lauderdale police addressed the confession detail, directly confirming Powell had allegedly told his child's mother he killed 2 women, but stating clearly that investigators found no evidence of a second victim. The department held a press conference specifically to address the social media firestorm that had already erupted, posts claiming a serial killer was loose in Broward County, fake vehicle descriptions circulating, families in Fort Lauderdale afraid to leave their homes. Sergeant Don Geiger stood before cameras and said, "We do not have a serial killer that we are looking at in the city of Fort Lauderdale. As far as we know, Altavious Powell only committed 1 homicide." While Daneshia's family sat in that salon processing the loss of their daughter, the internet had already turned her death into a conspiracy theory. Every new wave of misinformation ripped open a wound that had not even had time to begin closing. The public defender assigned to represent Altavious Powell filed a motion to withdraw from the case. The reason: the public defender's office had previously represented Daneshia Heller herself. The woman accused of being killed by this man had at some point been a client of his own defense attorney. A conflict of interest hearing was scheduled for February 26, 2026. The outcome of that hearing has not been confirmed in public court records. What is confirmed is that the conflict exists and that it now sits at the center of a case that already carries the weight of a confession, DNA evidence, and a woman found covered with cardboard next to a dumpster. Powell remains held without bond. The motive behind the killing has not been officially confirmed. Cell phone data and text messages are still being analyzed. No trial date has been set. David Heller posted on Facebook after he got the news. He wrote about how violent her death was.
My daughter, she was somebody. She was mine. Understand me, man? And he left her like she was nothing. And I can't stomach it. Okay? I can't stomach it. I just want the world to know who my daughter, Daneshia Heller, was.
He said he would never stop writing for her. Tamika Connor, Daneshia's mother, stood in her salon blocks from where her daughter's body was found and said, "To shoot her in the head execution style, what could she have done or said to you that you think you want to kill my baby like that?" A GoFundMe was launched to cover funeral costs and support Daneshia's 3 daughters. Those 3 daughters, they will have questions one day about who she was, what she was like, why she is not here. The people who love Daneshia are going to have to answer those questions while carrying their own grief at the same time. Daneshia Heller fought for her life in that apartment. The blood across 3 separate areas of that floor proved it. She was 30 years old. She was somebody's sunshine. She was 3 little girls' mother. And a man who confessed before the body was even identified thought he could cover her with cardboard and walk away. He could not keep his own secret. And that secret is exactly what is going to put him in front of a jury. A confession made before the body was identified. A killer who ran, threw his weapon, and gave a false name when approached. DNA recovered from a crime scene where a woman had been shot and dragged through multiple rooms. And a public defender assigned to represent the accused who had once sat across a table from the victim herself. Daneshia Heller was 30 years old. She had 3 daughters. She fought for her life when it mattered most. The motive has not been confirmed. The second alleged victim has not been publicly connected to any case. The trial has not been scheduled. Crime Spectre will follow every confirmed development in this case as it moves through the courts. Subscribing means no update gets missed.